Welcome back to the 480 podcast. I'm Jacob Fredericks. In today's episode, we're going to discuss the Cardinals' dominant 29-9 win over the Chicago Bears and their trade for Baron Browning and what that means for the Cardinals' defense going forward into next week's matchup against the New York Jets. All right, so going into this game against the Bears, I thought the Cardinals were in for a very rough test, especially on the defensive side, as I thought the Bears' offense were starting to finally figure it out. But actually, it was more the Cardinals' offense who seems to have finally figured out on how to find ways to win. Similar to how the Chiefs do. The Cardinals don't have to play their best football. Kyler Murray doesn't have to throw 30 times, 40 times for 300 yards. You can come in, as long as you come in with a good game plan and just a solid passing attack, you can win football games. For example, Drew Petzing, I think, as I said a few weeks ago, was on the hot seat because the Cardinals offense just wasn't getting anything done. But I think finally he's starting to figure it out. This week, he knew that the Bears defense has one of the worst run defenses in the NFL, especially banged up on that defensive front. Montez Sweat was out, a couple other players were out. So the Bears were beat up on that defense, and Drew Petzing and the Cardinals offense took advantage of it early. James Conner, 107 rushing yards. Trey Benson had some really good runs. Got his first career NFL touchdown in this game. DeMercado. We'll talk about the run at the end of the half later, but what a run. What a run. He was very good as well. So the Cardinals just found ways to run the ball, and they just imposed their will on this Bears defense consistently. They ran the ball whenever they want, however they wanted, and got as many yards as they wanted. And so the Cardinals offense, I think, finally started to figure it out. And on the passing side, I thought it wasn't actually as bad as a lot of the stats show. The stats show that our leading receiver had 3 catches. But why do we need to pass the ball if we're just running the ball consistently that well? If the Bears secondary, they have a very good secondary. Why I see why Drew Petzing doesn't want to throw the ball. And yet he still had Marvin Harrison Jr. running routes that he should be running, crossing routes, slant routes. That's where Marvin Harrison Jr. is at his best. He didn't have any catches on any go balls or anything like that. He still has to work on those things to be able to catch those consistently in the NFL. But he's best at running crossing routes. Unfortunately, he did have that fumble, and you could see that his dip in confidence until later in the game where the Cardinals started to get him involved again. So that was a good sign. I thought Kyler Murray, when he needed to deliver big throws, he delivered huge throws. Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, and Marvin Harrison Jr. He got it done in this game, and the Cardinals offense got it done in a much better fashion than I was expecting, because this Bears defense was a very good defense. They were not giving up a lot of points, and the Cardinals imposed their will on this defense all game long. And I want to move to special teams before I talk about the best part of the Cardinals game, which was our defense. The special teams, that was a great performance from Chad Ryland once again. We love Chad Ryland here in Arizona. We can build the statue already outside State Farm Stadium. One of the great signing kickers that the Cardinals have ever signed here. And how about Blake Gillikin as a punter? We got to appreciate the punter. He put the Bears deep multiple times. Some amazing punts, especially the one that was caught all the way at the 1-yard line, in which the Cardinals ended up getting a safety. That is amazing for the Cardinals. If your punter can consistently, when you're not scoring, because we know that the Cardinals offense this year is going to have moments where they struggle. They're not going to be able to score on every possession. They're not the elite offense in the NFL yet. So what you need a great punter. Blake Gillikin had an MVP level performance as a punter, and the Cardinals were able to steal 2 points just from good punting. So now let's move on to the defensive side of the football, which was outstanding in this game. This was the best defensive performance the Cardinals have put in all year, and honestly, in years. I haven't seen the Cardinals defense look this good on defense and look this energized on defense since probably when the Cardinals were like 12-0. And that is a great sign for the Cardinals, that they have energy on the defense. They're ready to go. They're ready to make tackles, and they're ready to get to the quarterback. And that was the best part about this. 16 different Cardinals had pressure on Caleb Williams consistently. 46% of snaps, 46% of plays, there was pressure on Caleb Williams. And that's where this Cardinals defense was able to hold their own. There was moments you could see it. Keenan Allen was getting open. DJ Moore was getting open. Rome Odunze had 105 yards in the first half. Like, he had an amazing game. But he wasn't able to get the ball that much after that because the Cardinals got pressure on Caleb Williams. Right now, Caleb Williams is the worst ranked quarterback against the blitz. He is. He's a rookie. That's what you expect from a rookie. They don't like to be blitzed. They get frantic. And so guess what? The Cardinals are going to blitz him. And they finally did. Nick Rallis put in the best defensive game plan I've seen him have all year. I wasn't a fan of the last few weeks in which we were sending 3 4-man rushes. And we tried that early in the game. But once they started blitzing Caleb Williams, they found so much success on that defensive front. Guys like Budda Baker were getting in the backfield. Zaven Collins got a sack to do. 6 sacks for the Arizona Cardinals. They haven't had 6 sacks in a long time. So that was a very encouraging performance for this Cardinals defense, especially with the kind of weapons that this Bears team have. And I think I understand that the Bears are a young team, so they're not like the elite offense of the Kansas City Chiefs. But the Bears offense still has a lot of weapons, a lot of talent, especially guys like Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift, who they kept at bay pretty much. So this Cardinals defense was amazing. Only giving up 9 points. 9 points to this Chicago Bears team is very good, especially since they've scored 30 points in their last few games. Just some standouts on the Cardinals defense. Budda Baker, once again, as I mentioned earlier, always in the backfield, always ready to make tackles. He kept the Bears to some second and mediums, third and mediums, and that's what the Cardinals want. You can't get into 3rd and 1s and 2nd and 1. You can't get into those. So keeping them at 2nd and 8, 3rd and 6, that is perfect for what this Cardinals team needs to do. Starling Thomas, Garrett Wilson, we have our 2 starting cornerbacks, along with Max Melton. That is a position of concern still for the Cardinals. You could see at moments they were getting beat, but overall, these corners are energized, they're ready to play, and they're consistently making plays at a level that's higher than some of these rookies. Now, they have plays where you can tell that they are still rookie cornerbacks and not first-round rookie cornerbacks, but they're making plays at the level of first-round star cornerbacks at the same time. So that is a huge just positive for this Arizona Cardinals. Now, let's look ahead a little bit for what the Cardinals just did yesterday. They've made a trade for Baron Browning from the Denver Broncos. We sent a 6th-round pick over to Denver for Baron Browning. Now, his first 2 years in the league were okay. He hasn't quite lived up to the potential that the Broncos wanted him to, but you can see in moments that he's got the energy. He's the Dennis Gardeck kind of guy. So that's where I think what the Cardinals were trying to do with this trade is kind of almost replace Dennis Gardeck, who went down with an injury. So I think Baron Browning, he's a very smart player. I watched a lot of film on him from his first 3 years. He doesn't always just go at the quarterback. He's making smart moves, so he can do swim moves, spin moves at the right times. He's making the right decisions at the right time as a rusher, and he keeps contained when he needs to. So that is a very positive sign for the Cardinals, because I do not like watching quarterbacks be able to run out of the pocket like Josh Allen was able to do early in this season. So having a guy that keeps contained, that's a smart player, is good. I'd like to see from Browning if he can bring a little bit more on the actual pass rush, in the sacks category. The numbers this week were very good for the Cardinals, but Cardinals are not going to be facing O-lines that are as bad as the Bears for the future. So they are going to have to get more production from the outside linebackers and from the defensive end, which Darius Robinson's hopeful return will help them, but Baron Browning has to be able to get to the quarterback. But the good news for him, and I think the biggest story coming out of this game, is the Cardinals coaching staff. Baron Browning is going to have an amazing coaching staff. In my opinion, the best coaching staff in the National Football Conference. That is how good this Cardinals coaching staff has been this year. Drew Petzing in the first few games of the season, not great. But since then, he's starting to finally figure it out. The Cardinals offense is getting it going, and they're doing exactly what they need to in situational moments. For example, the play call to run the ball with 15 seconds left in the half. What a play call to run a running back draw with only 15 seconds left from the 49-yard line, and it results in a 51-yard touchdown. You caught the Bears lacking again with no time left on the clock at the end of a half. I know Bears fans are going to be crying thinking about that. But what a run and what a play call by this Cardinals coaching staff to catch the Bears off guard. And once again, another thing I said, 2-minute offense. As I talked about last week, this Cardinals team in the 2-minute and the 4-minute offense has been the best team in the National Football League at it. Jonathan Gannon is doing an amazing job with that, and so is Drew Petzing on some of these play calls. And on the defensive side, you can see the improvements since week 1 to now with Nick Rawlis, with Jonathan Gannon leading that defense. They're making smarter plays. They're blitzing quarterbacks that they need to blitz. They're holding off on quarterbacks that are very good against the blitz. They're just making all the right decisions, and it's setting this team up for success. And it is the reason why your Arizona Cardinals are 5-4 and solo for first place in the NFC West. All right, so now we're going to move on to next week's matchup against the New York Jets. We know the Jets are going to have a lot of fans in State Farm Stadium. It's going to be probably a 50-50 crowd, but a cross-country flight for the Jets could benefit the Cardinals drastically. But this Jets team is playing some of their best football these last few weeks. They seem to have finally figured it out, beating a very good Houston Texans team. Garrett Wilson's playing his best. Davante Adams is playing his best. Aaron Rodgers just starting to get back to his best. The Jets offense is looking good, and they also have a star running back in Breece Hall, who you know, when he gets going, can be a top 5 running back in the NFL. So this Cardinals defense, once again, is going to have a big test against this Jets offense. Can our young secondary keep up with Garrett Wilson and Davante Adams? If the Cardinals can keep up with those weapons, I think they could be very successful here. But this is the kind of game that the Arizona Cardinals have lost in the past, especially coming off a big win streak, 3-game winning streak at home against a team that has a low record. This is the kind of game that I've seen the Cardinals lose year after year. So I think this is also a test of what kind of team is the Cardinals. Have they finally turned the page of all those losing seasons? Have they finally built a winning culture here in Arizona? Or are they still the Arizona Cardinals of the past? So I actually think that this is what this game can actually show you what the kind of Arizona Cardinals team this is. And on the offensive side, the Jets defense is still a good defense. They've played very well. They held Houston to very little passing yards consistently. So Kyler Murray's once again going to have to utilize James Conner, Trey Benson, and he's going to have to utilize his legs once again. So I'm hoping to see that the Cardinals offense will just get it going, consistently run the ball, but also still get McBride, Harrison Jr., Dortch, and Michael Wilson all involved in the passing game. If they can do that, I think the Cardinals can win. Thanks for listening to the 480 podcast. I'm Jacob Fredericks, and I'll see you guys next week.